Hello, welcome to An Extraordinary Life, the show where we deep dive into the challenges of neurodivergent children and their families. I'm your host, Danielle Desiree, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to An Extraordinary Life. I am here today with Alex Mckinnon, and it is such a special treat today I have for you guys. So it was just wonderful because I was here in the studio today for something else, and I met this amazing gentleman. And you know how you have conversations with people and it just clicks? There's just a connection, and you know it's a divine connection. Well, that's what it was like with Alex here today. So while I was here, we wanted to jump on real quick and just converse and let y'all be a part of the conversation. So Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. Fantastic. Living the dream. So, you guys, before we came on today, Alex and I were talking a little bit about ADHD and ADD, which is what he deals with. And we were swapping stories and talking about how we both deal with our ADHD and ADD. So, Alex, if you don't mind sharing, can you tell me a little bit about that and some of the things that you've gone through regarding your ADHD and ADD?
Mm-hmm. So I have not been officially diagnosed. Let me start with that. And I am very worried about self-diagnosing, but I have seen a lot of ADD memes and ADHD memes that got me thinking, maybe this is something that I struggle with. So I did one of those online courses to really determine what type of ADD that I had, or do I have this at all, or am I just making this up? And it turns out that I do have ADD, at least according to this. So I'm not medicated or anything, but I've had to manage my own mentality and myself for years. And I am a high functioning, so I am in multiple businesses. I run my own business. I help my other friends with their businesses, but it has been difficult for me to stay organized, and I have to have multiple systems to keep me on track and on task.
Okay, I can definitely relate to that,
Mm-hmm.
especially with organization. Can you give us a little bit of background of what some of those systems are like for you that help you stay organized?
Yeah, so the most effective system, believe it or not, is a dry erase board that I see every day. And then I write to myself notes that I see in the morning, and things that I need to do for that day, for that week, has to be on a dry erase board. And this is a daily thing. And then the next piece is my accountability, and it's just a plain calendar that I write. Like if I work out, I write an X. If I do my meditation, I write a circle. If whatever task that I have like a symbol that I write. And so that way, when I look back, I'm like, okay, I'm on task. Or, it's a week and I haven't meditated. I need to be accountable for that. And so literally I have all these high-tech solutions in my life that I craft for my business and other people, but a simple piece of paper and a dry erase board have been the biggest helps, because I use my phone for everything else and my brain doesn't associate that with organization. I can easily not look at an app. I can't easily deny the whiteboard that's sitting in front of me with the list of things that I need to do.
Okay, I love that. You guys, so those are simple, practical tips that we can use or incorporate to help us basically keep up with our daily lives and things that we're trying to do and trying to accomplish. I know you talked a little bit about meditation, mm-hmm. and that's something that you definitely use to help you. We touched on that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Do you mind diving off into that a little bit about, what you do for meditation?
Yeah. So I did not realize what meditation was forever. When I thought of meditation, I thought you sit down somewhere and you're like, I must clear my mind and not focus on anything. And just like, that's not a possibility for me. My mind is like a busy train station with trains leaving all the time, and I don't know where anything is. And the moment that someone interjects something, it's like, new thing spinning. And so for me, meditation is shutting everything out, making sure no new stimuli comes in, and then begin to process what's going on. And so meditation has taught me that I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am the observer of those, and I get to pick and choose which ones come and go. So how I meditate is, number one is like I say, is my mind cluttered? Just like my house, is my mind organized right now? No, it's like you got piles of stuff over here and over there. And I was like, oh, what am I eating on Thursday for dinner? And like, oh, what am I doing, next week? What is this person doing? And I'm like, whoa, stop, calm down. So there has to be that thing that brings you back to yourself. And so my meditation includes, if I am busy, if I'm in the middle of my workday, is silence my phone, put it in another room, have a seat, and hold a conference with myself. I like the form of visual meditation. So I'll sit there and then picture myself like, you're right here. And I'll ask myself a bunch of questions of what's going on, how do you feel? And it's not to empty my mind, is to determine what's the most important thing that's going on that I feel to myself. So that's one way if I'm busy. If I'm not busy, I have what's called self-maintenance Sundays, at which I turn off my phone to all requests. I may or may not talk to someone. If someone, it recharges my soul, I'll speak to them. But normally I do body work on myself. So I do self-massage, I do stretches, and then I go out into nature for a walking meditation. I find that is the most effective for me. So I live in a very mountainous area at which there are lots of trails and mountains. And so I have this thing called All Trails. And I'll just like pick a trail. I'm like, okay, it's an hour away and it's a 3-hour hike. So I'll just go on it, and then I'll just go walk into the woods and meditate on the things of where I'm at in life, or what's going on, or if there's any heavy emotional things that are going on that I can't process. And I find that after I meditate, I have much more room to handle new things, and it's easier for me to stay on task.
Oh, I love that. Self-care Sundays. I love that. I'm going to have to adopt that. I love how you were talking about how you're the observer, mm-hmm. and you're able to step outside of your thoughts and observe them and see where you are in that moment. Mm-hmm. And I know we've talked about before jumping on that thought hamster wheel. You guys know I've talked about the thought hamster wheel a lot. But what are some ways that you recognize when you're on that thought hamster wheel?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a really good one. So I have so many systems in place. If I feel myself getting worked up, so, anxiety is a real thing for many different people across the world. And so if I find that I feel my body getting anxious, like I feel the physical sensation of the cortisol build up, I'm like, oh no. And I kind of like immediately like send a call up to the observer, like, what's going on? I see that like I'm fixated on a thought. I'm fixated on a problem. The moment that I realize that I'm fixated, I'm like, do you want to continue? Yes or no? It's usually a no, right? It's like, no, I don't want to be anxious. Please stop. And so I ask myself in that moment, okay, what action can I take right now to mitigate this anxiety? If I'm worried about, my taxes, okay, cool. What can I do right now in this moment to say, hey, let's put a pin on this. So it's like, okay, open up QuickBooks and pull up your tax information, and then we'll do the next piece tomorrow. So it's really a level of awareness when my feelings start to get out of control, my thoughts start to get out of control. That's how I recognize and say, hey, observer, change the channel. And it's like realizing that I have the ability to change that channel, and instead of, getting pulled more and more and more into it.
Oh, yeah, I love that. And realizing that you have the ability to change the channel, because we all have the ability to change the channel, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. even though we oftentimes think that we don't have that ability.
Right.
So we're going to change focus for a moment.
Sure.
I know for An Extraordinary Life, we talk a lot about parenting kids that are on the neurodiverse spectrum, ADD, ADHD, Asperger's, things of that nature. If you can go back into your childhood for a moment, mm-hmm. What were those things that you felt like you didn't have that would have supported you more on your journey through childhood, dealing with some of these challenges that you've had?
I honestly think that it really would have been exercise and exercise in a safe space. Mm-hmm. A lot of this stems from not having anyone to talk to about these things. And if I had a parent that would hold space for me in that moment in time and just discuss with me what was going on. And this is in no way, shape, or form a dig against my parents. They did absolutely the best they could with what they had. We live in the information society now, so we now have all the information around us to kind of put together solutions. They didn't have that, 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. So there's no blame, but just having the ability to come to the parent and have that open dialogue. And then, I was a very hyper kid, and my parents dealt with it just saying, like, go outside and play, rather than like, taking me to a structured event with like a teams or something like that. But, we have mental energy, we have physical energy, and we have spiritual energy. And what I found was like, my mental energy and my physical energy were unmanaged, and just having that awareness to realize like, oh, my kid's hyper, let me go take him somewhere and run the energy out. Oh, he's thinking a lot. Let me, sit there and talk to him and discuss the things that are going on. And so for me, I kept it all bottled up and bottled in. And it's like, you shake up a soda can and, or not a can, but a bottle, and it builds that pressure up. And I think that's a lot of what my ADD was like, is like, it was this build up of stuff that I could not solve, problems that I couldn't solve. So if I had a parent, or if I ever do have kids, and I'll constantly be looking for that buildup of emotion, buildup of mental energy, and then just find better ways to help them disperse it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I love that. With where you are right now and being more aware and knowing that you can be the observer, how has that helped you with your relationships, like present day?
You said it actually in that, how has it helped me in my present day? And that is to remain present. The biggest thing about ADD and ADHD is it robs me from being in the present. It keeps me in my head, whether I am looking at memories and telling myself stories of the past, keeping me depressed or keeping my energy down, or importing anxiety from imagined situations in the future that, may or may not ever come true, which again robs me from being present in the moment. The awareness allows me to say, hey, I'm too far in the future, or hey, I'm too far in the past. Like, be present here now. And the thing is like, I love the people, like I love interacting with people. I love my friends. And so of course I want to be 100% there in the moment with them. And so that's kind of what I do, is like, and it's okay, because I found that the majority of my friends, we all have ADD and ADHD, and it's like, we'll get on squirrel tangents, and like, we'll like all be on our phones for a second, and like, and then someone like, hey, let's reconnect. Like, let's put these away and come back to the present moment. So it's beautiful that, we have, as a community as a tribe, have kind of keep each other accountable and talk about strategies on ways that we help ourselves and that could potentially help each other.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. Is it okay for me to put it out there somewhere where people can find you?
Apparently, unfortunately, I don't have a public facing social right now. Okay. I'm doing a lot of internal work before I put myself out in the public.
Okay.
So eventually I will, and then I will send that to you, and you will be able to tell it to others. But for now, I realize that there's some inner work that has to be done before I step into my next role.
Okay. I love that. I can respect that. And yes, I most certainly want that when you're ready.
All right.
So before we wrap up, I just want to ask you if there was anything that you can give parents to help them with their neurodiverse children, whatever they may be struggling with their children on this journey. What would you say to them?
Okay. Number one, the biggest thing that you could do is be aware of your kid, and then be aware that your child is not having an adult experience. It is having a child experience. It does not have the same tools that you do with your adult faculties to manage this. They have a very circumscribed, short view of what the world is, and you as the parent are practically half or their whole world. So they're dependent on you to provide solutions for this to dissipate these mental energies or these physical energies or these spiritual energies for them. So the biggest thing is awareness, and then being creative for solutions. Just like you shop for an outfit, you're like, oh, I like this, works with this. It's like, think of solutions for your kid. It's like, okay, my kid has ADD, ADHD. Try different environments to see if they thrive or do well in there, and just kind of be aware. Keep a journal, an ADD journal for your kid of what works and what doesn't work. It doesn't have to be this crazy high-tech solution. It's literally like, think about yourself and your child's perspective, and they don't know what to do, so you got to figure it out for both of you. And I think that will help strengthen the bond and the relationship between parent and child, and give you a proper solution.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you today, brother. I know it was impromptu, but this has been wonderful. It's been a blessing, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well.
Yes. And thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all the hard work that you put in. Thank you for spreading the awareness. It is necessary that people know what's going on. Again, I am undiagnosed, and I'm really just figuring out. I'm 38 years old now, and it's just, I've lived my whole life just thinking that my mind was different, thinking that I'm different, and then masking to fit in and to make sure everything, oh, no one knows. But now I'm just like, okay, time to take the mask off. Like, yeah, so what? I have ADD, I have ADHD. I'm very creative. It's more of a superpower to me than it is a hindrance.
Oh, yeah. So you guys, we're flexing our superpowers out here. All right. So when you see us, just know.
Yep. We're easily distracted, but when we're not, watch out.
That's right. All right, Sarah. That's a wrap.